brutal fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. Jon Voight is an outspoken and open opponent of the left-wing views coming out of Hollywood. As he comes from this environment, it was interesting to get his views on what's going on today in the mainstream media and other places. He was interviewed by Mark Levin on Fox News. In the interview, we get to the point where Jon Voit, who was once a Democrat supporter, realizes what they are really about. This is just part of a fascinating interview from someone who was and still is inside of Hollywood and the Hollywood machine. I urge you all to watch the whole interview, but I wanted to give you just a flavor. Links on my site.
And as I was auditioning to get in this industry and working hard to become an actor, I fell in with that group of people. And I was swept away with the propaganda. And one of the pieces of propaganda that I bought at that time, and when you're involved in propaganda, I have to say, there are no doors out of it in a certain sense, because if your friends are there, this and that, and you make associations, and you pass these sound bites back and forth and all of this. So I understand what's going on in Hollywood today. I understand it. I was right there, you know. And those people are focused on their work, too. They're trying to just get a job. So it's convenient for them to be, you know, politically aligned, too. So I was one of those guys, and I believed what I had been ingesting. And one of the things was that the war in Vietnam was really our problem, that if we removed ourselves from it, that the south of Vietnam and the north of Vietnam, the communists under Ho Chi Minh, would come together and embrace as brothers, as family. And I bought some of that, and I was in the streets, you know, against the war and that stuff. And then what happened? Then the people in the streets, and by the way, you know, we never lost, our military never lost a battle in that war. And we were on the way to the defeat of the North. But the real energy that closed out that possibility was those people in the street. And they certainly weren't the majority of Americans. But they were very effective. It's like what's going on now. They have a march. They've prepared an army of people to go out and speak and make noise. And you would think, if you were watching television, this must be the American people. But it isn't. But anyway, and they brought down the war. It came to a close. And we pulled out of Vietnam. We pulled out of Vietnam, and what happened? Was there this embrace? Was there this celebration? No. 2.5 million people were murdered in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam because of our absence. And what happened with the left when they saw that? It's the signature of the left. They create this, you know, this chaos and horror, and they walk away. They take no responsibility for it. That's what happened to all my buddies. Mm-hmm. They celebrated. We won the war. We won it. We won our war. And there was this bloodbath. And I remember Joan Baez had a little piece in the paper, and it was the only single voice from all of the left, and she was ridiculed for it or put aside for it. And I thought to myself, she's right. And we were wrong.
That's the turning point.
That was the turning point. And it took a long time because propaganda is dangerous. It gets into our system.
It's reinforcing.
Yes, it is. And it took me a long while to pull completely out of it. But little by little I did. And then I saw that the answer, much like Reagan, when he said, you know, the Democratic Party, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me. Well, to some degree, I have to say the same thing happened to me or anybody who's a conservative now and was at that time on the other side. Because when you look at, let's say, John Kennedy's inaugural address, his inaugural address would be deemed today by the people who were in Hollywood, and my friends in Hollywood, and the people over the country who are on the left, as some radical nut from the Republican Party. We simply have lost something along the way, but it hasn't been our own fault. We've been attacked by an insidious and I would say evil force. And I've traced that, and I know a little bit about it. So I know what the battle is. The battle has been raging, and it's reemerged in this century in full force, and that's what we're dealing with right now.
You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, and email. You can now find us on Spotify. Just go to the podcast section and type Canadian Politics with a Twist, and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all my morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio, that's EHRADIO, A Radio, and please click on the like button. And you can find all my podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com and click on the Morning Moments tab.